Hi, I'm Ruth Baggery and I'm here with Andrea Williams. She's a registered medical herbalist and we've got her here to tell us about miner's lettuce.
That's right, Ruth. In miner's lettuce, the botanical name is Clatonia perfoliata. The stems, leaves and blossoms are used and they have a high content of vitamin C, calcium and protein. According to a study in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association, 100 grams of miner's lettuce, about the size of a decent salad, contains a third of your daily requirement of vitamin C and 22% of vitamin A and 10% of iron. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
The plant got its name, do you know how?
No, I'm not sure.
Well, it got its name because of the gold rush. Miners ate it to stave off the disease, which is caused by vitamin C deficiency, and they learned the trick from the local American Indians, it was thought. It's probably how they did it. And do you know it's also used as a spring tonic to improve the appetite?
Oh.
It's wonderful things it can do. And also, due to its chlorophyll content, it is also useful at purifying and detoxing the body as well.
Wow, that's great.
And you can also use a poultice for it, for rheumatic joints as well.
Oh,
amazing, eh?
That's great.
Yeah.
So here I have some here. So this reminds me of something silly. So when a dog or a cat goes to the vet put these funny cones on the animals to stop them from getting to their stitches. And so this is one of the characteristics of this miner's lettuce. So it's kind of curls up and it's got the
It's a
seeds
good way to
out.
describe it, you know. I wouldn't have thought of it that way. That's great.
Yeah, but some of the leaves aren't all the same. Like you can get some like this. It's kind of like a love heart to me. And then we have the seeds and the flowers, and we've got a little pretty little pinky purpley flower here, and then all the seeds. So it will self-seed, so it's quite good. So it'll just pop up the next season. But you can, if you want to share it with a friend, you can just snap it off and let it dry out. And as it dries out, little black seeds will come out of here, and they're so tiny. And so, yeah, that's why they blow in the wind and self-seed everywhere. But it's really mild and sweet, and it's super crispy. It's great in salads, soups. It can be a spinach replacement. So yeah, you don't have to always run to the shop because don't have enough spinach or silver beet or something. You can use miner's lettuce, and also the kids love it.
And how do you prepare it? How do you use it?
So we use it as a salad, mostly. Have it raw because it's actually very mild and it doesn't really taste like a vegetable.
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah, and my kids love it. And you can also freeze it down.
Yeah.
So you can blanch it and pop it in the freezer for later use. So I hope you guys can all enjoy using this. So thank you, Andrea, for coming and telling us about the medical benefits of it.
My pleasure.
Hi, I'm Ruth Baggery and I'm here with Andrea Williams. And she's a registered medical herbalist, and she's coming to talk to us about chickweed.
That's right, Ruth. Chickweed is called Stellaria media. That's the botanical name. It's native to Europe and is naturalised throughout New Zealand and much of the grassland, roadsides and cultivated land. It is frost resistant but drought tender. The herb is harvested during or just prior to flowering, which we've got here. It's a good source of vitamin C, B vitamins and vitamin D. And minerals wise, it's actually rich in iron, copper, calcium, sodium, and it has some manganese, phosphorus and zinc. So that's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So because it's so nutritive, it's such a good herb to have in tonics. So the actions of it is anti-rheumatic, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-proliferative, antibacterial, anti-obesity and anxiolytic. That's a bit of a mouthful again, isn't it? But it's just the actions of that. Externally, it's antipruritic. Do you know what that means?
No.
It means it helps with itching. It stops the itching. It's a vulnerary, which means it's an agent to hasten the healing of wounds. So it's really good for the skin. It's emollient, so it's an agent that softens and soothes and protects the skin as well. Yeah.
Oh.
Use it in poultices to treat boils, abscesses, cuts, burns and ulcers. We, in my field of work, we use it a lot in skin conditions and creams, make sucus and put it in creams. to relieve itching and things like that. So it's really, really good. And also, some people have used it as an anti-inflammatory to treat arthritis and menstrual pain.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, really good, isn't it?
Oh.
So what are you going to tell us about
Okay.
identifying it here today?
So it's quite pretty when you see the flower come through. I've only got one little one here because it's just like you're saying, you harvest it just before it's flat.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it really closely, you can see just little white petals. It's just so dainty.
It's cute as, isn't it, really?
So it's kind of got lots of long bits with nothing on it, and then it's got some wee leaves. And so it's kind of creeps. And so if you've got it in your garden, you'll sort of see it going across the ground and up anything that's in its way. And so it's really abundant at this time of the year.
So instead of throwing it out, you can just take it out of your garden and get plenty of use out of it, can't you?
So what I know it is, is chickweed. So
Yeah.
everybody thinks you just feed it to the chickens.
Yeah.
It's like they're missing out. So it's great in salads. It's a little bit more bitter, but not quite as bitter as your dandelion, but it's really good. So you just chop it through your salad and have whatever, avocados, tomatoes,
Yum.
whatever, and it makes a great salad. But you can also juice it. So if you're like doing a juice fast, you can use it in that. But you can also make yummy pestos.
So how do you use it?
So I use it in pestos.
Right.
That's one of my favourites. But you're juicing it. We quite like it in juice because it's not a really strong flavour, so it works quite well. So yeah, so thank you very much for coming in and telling us all about it.
It's my pleasure. It's a load of fun.
Hi, I'm Ruth Beggery and I'm here with Andrea Williams. She's a registered medical herbalist. She's here to talk to us about our lovely dandelion.
Yes, I am, and it's one of my favourite herbs, Taraxacum officinale. This herb grows throughout the northern hemisphere in New Zealand and Australia. The roots are rich in vitamin A, B, C and D, which is pretty interesting, isn't it? And then minerals-wise, it's potassium, calcium, sodium and some phosphorus, iron, nickel, cobalt and copper and zinc. So again, it's very nutritive. The leaves are vitamins A, B, C and D. It's potassium, iron and copper. And the actions is hepatic tonic, anti-rheumatic, choleretic. The leaves are diuretic and anti-lithic. Now the leaves are used in the cardiovascular system where there is edema, fluid retention and kidney stones. And the root is used for anorexia, constipation, cirrhosis, gallstones, hepatitis, which is inflammation of the liver, and if you're exposed to toxins, it's very useful for that as well. So there's a bit of a mouthful there, isn't it?
Oh,
Yes.
oh, that's great.
Yeah, and so we've got the dandelion here. And so what we're going to talk about is identifying it. So you can see here that the dandelion has its like little teeth, I guess, and it comes through to a point here.
Oh,
But you have cat's ear and hawk's beard and hawkbit, which look very similar to dandelion but are not dandelion. So they tend to be quite rough and a bit rounded. This is dandelion because it is sort of going to the point there. When you look out in nature, you'll see that when you touch them, they're either quite hairy or quite rough, and they sort of bulk together a bit as well in the stems. So dandelion is just one stem like this, and it's quite hollow as well. So you know that's dandelion, where the other flowers have a thick stem and then they have the same sort of flower, which gets confusing, but on the same stem they have 2 or 3 flowers.
okay.
So to get back to dandelion, it's flat and smooth. It sort of comes to a point, and when it's young it can be like this as well, and it just has that one flower.
Wow.
But if you're still not sure, you can look at botany books, or just ask experts on that, so you can make sure you get the correct identification. But just to be aware, you can get muddled up if you don't know what you're doing.
So how do you harvest it?
Well, I collect the leaves in spring and just use them in my salad and I don't mind the bitter. I quite enjoy that. And with the root, it's usually 2 years in autumn, and I just do like a square around it with my fork and just loosen up the soil, and basically the root does come out quite easily without breaking, but just don't rip it out. Just, it still needs to be loosened up. Just keep doing it till it loosens up, and then you just gently pull out the root. I usually wash it and thoroughly, and then chop it up, and I pop it in the oven and roast it, and I have a lovely drink out of it.
Wow,
yeah,
sounds great.
What do you do? How do you use?
Well, I use it in salads as well. I tend to not like that bitter taste, so I chop it up nice and fine so that it, and with a nice dressing, and I just make sure my children know that the bitterness isn't a bad thing, because it's actually very, very good for you.
Yes.
That's why it's called a bitter herb. So I also roast it, dry the roots, and I make my own dandelion coffee, and also use it for teas. So yeah, it's great. So you can also make a yummy pesto with it as well. So
sounds delicious. I'm looking forward to learning about that.
yeah. So thank you very much for coming in and talking to us about dandelion.
My pleasure.
Hi, I'm Ruth Baggery here. I'm with Andrea Williams. She's a registered medical herbalist, and she's come to talk to us about cleavers.
Yes, I have, and it's called Gallium apireum is the botanical name. Now, it's found in Europe, USA, Australia and New Zealand, and it scrambles among the shrubs, tall grasses and other plants around gardens. And it's that plant that sticks to your rose bushes or your raspberry plants and you're trying to rip it off. That's basically that one. It's frost resistant and drought tender. It's the aerial parts harvested from spring to summer when in flower or fruit. The actions of it is a diuretic, astringent due to the mild tannins in this. It's lymphatic alterative, which means it eliminates waste while restoring and modulating body functions there. It's just, I just love this herb. I use it a lot, especially for lymphatic conditions, upper respiratory infections. Cleavers is also used to treat urinary tract conditions associated with pain. Traditionally, they used it to treat cancer. So again, it's just another nutritive, wonderful herb that you can use in tonics.
Wow, that's great.
So what do you use it for, Ruth?
Well, I have used it in teas because it's all of its properties. It's been great as a juice, and even though it seems prickly and like it wouldn't be any good, it's actually great. You don't have that yucky taste. Yeah, so I've used it in pesto.
Oh, right.
Also, you can just use it as a boiled sautéed vegetable, even though, there's plenty of other options. But if you want to up your nutrients, then why not use this?
That's a great suggestion. I like that.
So
what have we got here?
We have some dried cleavers. So I've just washed it and popped it on a plate and just let it dry just with the air. So I'll just give it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then I'll pop it in a jar, and then I can use it throughout the year as a tea, because obviously you can't use it all year round.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Might as well store it for later.
Great thinking, and I love the colour in it. It's looking really, really good. Good job.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for coming in and talking to us about that.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ruth Baggery, and I'm here with Andrea Williams. She's a registered medical herbalist, and she's coming to talk to us about stinging nettle.
Yes, I am, and Urtica dioica is the botanical name. This little gem here is from Britain. The whole herb is used and collected just prior to or during flowering. You definitely need gloves because it's very, very stingy, and it's not nice to be stung by that. Vitamins A, B2, C, E, carotenoids like chlorophyll and beta-carotene and vitamin K is great in this plant. And the fresh extracts contain vitamin B1 as well. Now, nettle is also relatively high in calcium and potassium salt, salicylic acid and iron. So it's a very, very nutritive herb. Also contains manganese and copper. Now, the root is used to treat prostatic issues and also chronic cystitis. The rest of the herb is used for allergic rhinitis due to current research. Stomach hemorrhaging, monohagia, because it has an anti-hemorrhagic action, so which means it helps reduce bleeding. There is so much research on nettle, and there's so many wonderful benefits, and we find out more and more exciting things about nettle, which is great. It makes a beautiful spring tonic. So how do you use it?
Well, I use it as a soup.
Oh yeah.
And I also use it as a tea. And you know what? My kids actually don't mind it.
Wow, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. So when I first started using it, when you'd wash it and then you'd chuck drain it, and then you'd see the little green little dot things in the bottom, and I thought it was aphids, so I kept, I better wash it again, and then there'd be more, and I'm what's this? And I realised it's actually the seeds.
Yes, we need those, don't we?
Yeah, so they're really good, and I was throwing them away, so you don't be afraid of the seeds. So a good way to identify this is obviously the prickles, pretty intense, as well as the way that the leaves come out. So it'll go this way, and then this one will go this way, and the next one will go that way. I quite like the way God designed that. So it's just another way to a good identifying feature of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make.
Yeah. So I also dry it, so for tea, so I can store it for later. So you can use it fresh in a tea, but you can also dry it. So that's what I've done with it.
So we definitely don't use it in salads.
Yeah.
Because it would be very stingy on the tongue. And we probably wouldn't use it as a prank on somebody because it would be very, very sore. Because remember to use gloves, and it's very, very stingy.
Yeah. So next time you're doing the gardening, don't just get rid of it, even if it's just a little one. Just pop it in, wash it off, put it in a cup, pour some hot water on, have a drink.
Yeah. Put
it in your smoothie and your veggie juice, whatever. It's actually pretty good.
Right, that sounds great.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us about it. So I hope you guys get a chance to use it yourself. Hello, I'm Ruth Baggery, and I'm here with Andrea Williams. She's a registered medical herbalist, and she's here to talk to us about the beautiful happy flowers that we have called marigolds, but also called calendula to some people. So she's going to give us a little talk about it.
I am. And it's Calendula officinalis is the botanical name. Now, calendula is native to Mediterranean Europe, and it grows well here in New Zealand and Australia. The flowers, and mainly ray florets, are gathered just before the disc florets begin to open. They're a source of vitamin A, C, and phosphorus. We also use this herb to improve lymphatic drainage and for infections and skin conditions. We use the oil in tincture and creams for skin conditions as well. We use it for fungal infections and mouth ulcers, and a lot more actually. Infusions of the flower can also be used as an eye wash and throat gargles.
Wow, that's great. Did you know that you can use the oil to get rid of warts?
I did not.
Yeah, it's quite a good natural remedy. But that's just amazing. So so versatile, isn't it?
So do you infuse the oil and then just put it on the warts?
Yeah. So you probably have to rub it a few times, but you just keep massaging it in so it absorbs well into it. Yeah, so it's great on all skin conditions, so give it a try.
That's actually a good tip. I will remember that. Thank you, Ruth.
Yeah.
It's amazing how God can create so many wonderful plants, and especially beautiful flowers like the orange and the yellow, just to brighten up our day. It's like a little ball of sunshine, isn't it?
So you can also dry. So then you can, because it's not flowering all the time, so you can pop it aside, dry it, pop it in a jar ready for making some teas or infusions. I quite like to use it on a salad because it just brightens it all up, especially if you can use the orange and the yellow being that they're the same medicinal purposes. So it's sweet as well, so it's not a terrible thing to have on, and it makes it look lovely.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's something we can always praise God for, isn't it? For His beauty. Yeah.
It's always provided for us in so many ways, even just giving us something beautiful to look at in our gardens.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Ruth Baggery, and I'm here with Andrea Williams. She's a registered medical herbalist and she's going to talk to us about how to dry herbs.
Yes, I am. When we're drying herbs, drying needs to be done as quickly as possible if the herbs are going to retain their quality. So soft, shrubby herbs tied in loose bunches, things like rosemary and wormwood were tied in bunches and put in attics and sheds where there was plenty of ventilation. Drying this way would only take about 1 or 2 days. Mints, lemon balm and soft leafed herbs like basil, you can actually put them in the oven because we have ovens these days, and you can pop them on a cake rack on top of your baking tray, and so when you place it on here the ventilation's still going underneath and it dries the herb. So you pop it on a very, very low heat and have the oven door open, and that still allows the air to circulate around. Another alternative way is, if you're really keen on drying herbs, is you could build your own drying cupboard with tiered racks covered with stretched muslin cloth, and making sure that the room has plenty of ventilation. So that's another handy idea. What do you think about that?
Sounds great. Can you use a dehydrator?
Yes, you can. I have used a dehydrator and I found, I don't know if it's because it's too hot, but it doesn't retain the colour sometimes. But yes, you can do a dehydrator
So maybe
as well.
dry really slowly.
I think very slowly is best, yeah.
Okay.
And it shouldn't take that long, probably maybe 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's another great suggestion. Also, when you don't want to hang them up in kitchens and places like that either, in bunches, because what happens is you get all the fat and the grease from cooking, and the moisture gets in and it attracts dust, and then it starts to go a wee bit mouldy and it's not very useful to use when it's all mouldy like that.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to collect the seeds from it and you are hanging them upside down in a well ventilated place and you choose to do it that way, you just put a brown paper bag around it, around the front of it, so you can collect the seeds. Or if you do it this way, the seeds can fall down onto the baking paper. So
That's a great way.
Yeah, it's a great way to collect the seeds if you're wanting to reharvest and regrow. Now storage, they're best stored in a glass jar like these. These are definitely stored perfectly. So when you are putting them in there, you want to make sure there's no moisture at all, because then they'll go mouldy and it'll wreck the whole lot. So if there is a little bit of moisture, you just open it up like so, and then take it out, and dry it a little bit more so it's not contaminating the whole lot. And that's how you dry herbs.
Wow, that's great. Thanks for talking to us about it. It's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Ruth Baggery and I'm here with Andrea Williams. She's a registered medical herbalist and she's here to talk to us about the safety of herbs.
Yes, I am. Now, herbs are very safe in general to use, but there are times when we can have adverse reactions, particularly if we have an allergy to a particular family, a plant family. So if you're going to be using a herb, it's always good to make sure it's not in that family. And also identifying a herb correctly. I remember years and years ago when I first studied, I read, I think it was in the Principles and Practice of Phytomedicine, about a mother who gave her 18-month-old a tea made up of peppermint and coltsfoot, and she basically thought that's what it was. The baby actually had developed a liver disease, and so when they analysed the plant, it was quite high in pyrrolizidine alkaloids, which was contributing to that damage, and the plant was not actually coltsfoot at all.
Oh, no.
It was another plant, but it looked similar. So the baby recovered, of course, had very conservative treatment and did quite well, but it's just showing the importance of actually getting the identification right, because you don't want to harm yourself, basically. Now, if you're pregnant or lactating, there are certain herbs that can affect you, like pregnancy. Parsley is abortifacient, so it could cause a miscarriage, or when you're lactating, if you had sage, it can dry up your milk. So it's very important to make sure, if you're using herbs, to check with a medical professional if you're not familiar with herbs. Also medications, some herbs may interact with medication, so it's always good to get those checked as well. Existing conditions, some herbs can aggravate some existing conditions, so it's always, again, to check with a medical professional to see if that's okay for you. Dosage wise, it's really important to stick to a dosage, not to go in excess. If it says 1 teaspoon per cup of tea a day, stick to that. You don't want to just go, oh, I'll just put that in and that in.
More always isn't always better.
No, more is not always better at all, because if the correct dosage is not working, then it pays to go and make an appointment with a medical herbalist or talk to someone about that, because it may not be the right herb for you. Also looking for good quality herbs, especially if, you know, we're in winter and you want to go and purchase dried herbs. Always get it from somebody who knows a lot about herbs, basically, and you know that the identification is correct. The other great thing that you can do is get an encyclopedia of herbs. There's plenty of books out there. Grow your own herbs, get to know them, and then you can enjoy them as well. And the other thing is, when you're harvesting herbs, make sure it's not sprayed, because you can wild harvest and go, oh, this is great, but you don't know if it's been sprayed, and you can, you know, poison yourself accidentally. So that's another important tip. There we go. Other than that, you can just enjoy your herbs.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about the safety of herbs. Isn't it wonderful that God has given us so many wonderful things to heal our bodies, and so many amazing books that we can go to learn about it.
Yeah.
How to use them and how to keep safe.
Yep, that's
So
right.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hi, I'm Andrea Williams, and I'm here with Ruth Begley, and she's going to show us how to make a weed detox salad. So show us, how does it work? What are you going to do?
Well, it's pretty easy. So you just take some miner's lettuce, about 1 cup.
Yep.
So you can make it as chunky or as fine as you like. But I quite like the stems. Some people don't necessarily want to eat the stems, but I quite like them because they're quite crunchy. It's almost a little bit like celery.
Oh, nice.
And then just
That's beautiful.
place that all in there. And then we are going to put half a cup of the chickweed here. So once you squish it in, it's mostly around half a cup. This has a bit more of a stronger flavour, but it's still not too bad.
And it's very nutritive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of
Great.
a bit finer. And
Love the choice of herbs you're putting in here.
yeah, and I've got 1/4 cup, but this is just choice of what people like in their salads. So
Yes.
if you've got children, and some people are a bit fussy, they might not like such a bitter taste. So, but if people like it, have more. It's just totally up to you. And so I've just got that here, and then we're going to put some lovely marigolds. So maybe could you take off some petals and sprinkle them around?
I sure can.
So I was going to take 6 flower heads, petals. These are called the rays. So they're quite pretty. This just gives it such a lovely colour.
It's good to colour coordinate your salads, because you know then you're getting a good amount of antioxidants,
Yeah.
which is very, very good.
And kids love to do this.
They do, don't they?
I just can't remember how much we're up to. I think we're probably
I've
about
got 3
right.
here.
Yeah. Now,
Yep,
because
we
we've
are
only
about
got
right there.
because we've only got small tomatoes, we'll just use the whole lot, and that just makes it look amazing. And we've got some avocado, which everybody will be fighting over.
It's lovely and green, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely and ripe.
And we've got some dressing, which we've
Tell
made
me
up.
what you put in your dressing.
So I've got 2
interesting.
tablespoons of oil.
Yep.
And
Oh, what sort of oil did you use?
just used olive oil.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
You could use a different oil if you wished.
Yes.
And I've got just some raw cider vinegar,
And how much of that did you put in?
2 tablespoons.
Oh, wow.
And then I've got some mustard seeds, and I'm just going to sprinkle that on top.
Looks very tangy and tasty.
Yeah. Of course, you don't have to use these ingredients. It's just a nice way to drizzle it on,
Mm-hmm.
and just to help cover up the bitterness of some of the things that some people might not like.
I suppose you could put sweet vegetables like your capsicum in there as well to sweeten it up, couldn't you?
Roasted kurma, that would be nice.
So you put lots of different things in there.
And then to finish, just do a couple of sprinkles of salt.
Well, this looks amazing. You're getting this, it's very, very good.
We are ready to have a detox party.
I think that looks very, very good. Well, thank you for showing us how to do it. It looks amazing. And it's just amazing that we can go in our backyard. God's created all this, all the herbs as people call weeds, but they actually have therapeutic benefits and we can actually use them. So we're very, very blessed. So thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Andrea Williams and this is Ruth Begley and she's going to be showing us how to make a weed detox soup. So show us how to do it.
Well, we're going to start with some boiled potatoes, chopped and peeled. We have them already done with 2 cups of water. So we're going to take the lid off there. So I was wondering if you could please saute me some onions.
I sure can.
So I have 1 onion and 1 tablespoon of oil.
Okie dokie, I'll just get the temperature right here.
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, and we're just going to put some oil in.
So I'm just going to start chopping up some miner's lettuce. So we need about 1 cup. You don't really have to worry too much about chopping it because we're going to be blending it to make a lovely, delicious, creamy soup.
Sounds great.
I just always have my soups blended, and I don't really like soups when they've got chunks now because I'm so used to it. It must be like a baby. I like it smooth. So I'm just going to pop it all in here, and because there's hot water in here, it'll just sort of seep the leaves so they'll get nice and moist so that they'll be easier to blend. And so we have this lovely chickweed here. So I just need about 1 cup, and those onions are smelling good.
They are, and they're sizzling away. You probably can hear them quite loudly.
So I hope you guys all give this a go at home.
Nothing like sauteed onions.
I used to know this lady and she said, you know, when you've had a hard day with the children and your husband comes home and he wants to know what's for dinner and you're so tired you can't even think about it, you just always put onions on. Just that smell of onions makes your husband feel that dinner is on its way and it's going to taste good.
It's probably very true. When I put onions and garlic in everything I cook. Very good.
So as you see, this is pretty easy. Am I able to get you to do some stinging nettle for me?
I can do that for you.
So when you do stinging nettle, you'll need gloves. But if you hold the plant upside down with one hand and then use the other glove to do this, and most of the leaves should fall off, so it's not too hard because sometimes you have to pick each leaf off.
Alright, so let's give it a go. We'll have a go at all of them.
You might need to just do one at a time. Yeah.
That sounds good. So I'll just pop one down here. So we all heard that, we'll just do one at a time to make it quick and easy. And it's stuck on there, there we go.
I'll take that.
There's that one.
And it's great. And because these are very fresh,
look at that one, that come off really easy.
Fresh and young, it doesn't actually matter too much if you have any stalks in there, if they're young ones, because it's all going to be blended.
Yep. There we go. I'll give you that.
I must have tough fingers.
You must have. It seems to be with the gloves slipping off a little bit there. There we go. Because it's being blended, it's going to be fine.
It's looking great.
I'm going to get all that off there like that.
I think there's probably around about a cup. That'll be fine.
I think that looks good. So I'm just going to take these away and out of your way so you don't hurt yourself there.
I'm going to put 2 tablespoons in here. The onions are looking a bit brown now.
They're looking great, aren't they?
But because these are teaspoons, I'm just putting a wee bit more in. About 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to put some salt in. 2 teaspoons.
What sort of salt are you using?
This is sea salt.
Oh yes, it looks very nice.
Right, I'm going to chop some.
It's a coarse sea salt, is it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
About a cup of dandelion.
What are we going to do with the onions?
Right, they look like they're about done, so
Yeah.
they can come in here now.
Right.
Just pour them over the top.
Very, very hot.
They're a wee bit caramelised, but that's okay. That's wonderful.
And we'll turn this off.
Right, now I'm just going to pop 1 can of coconut cream on top, and that'll weigh it down. And that'll just help with blending. Oh, it smells delicious.
Looks amazing.
Okay, so I'm going to make a wee bit of noise. Hopefully it's not too loud for you. Just squish it down a wee bit. It looks like it's about done. So we'll just pop it on the heat to boil up now, but make sure you put the lid on so you don't have any
Just turn this
massive
back on.
mess to clean up. I'll
Just
take that
get you
for
to take that, and I'll just pop this on. So you just want to boil it?
Yep.
That looks amazing. It didn't seem to take too long at all to do, did it?
Pretty easy.
Oh, it's bubbling
Wow,
away.
looks like this is ready. I think we can turn that off now. Thank you.
Great.
Right, shall we give it a try?
I reckon so.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Look,
It's bubbling away.
it's very hot. So basically you just need to bring it to the boil and that's pretty much it. So,
And you can smell the coconut from here. It's amazing.
see if I can
it's
not
very, very green.
make a big mess everywhere.
You're doing a good job. Wow.
And so when you spill a little on the side, you just put a weed there and it just disguises it. And if I can do
Very
this,
fancy.
this is just some coconut cream. Just gonna drizzle a little bit around. Oops.
Oh, that looks pretty impressive.
Okay.
Actually, it looks like a chef.
Do you want
would
to
do
try
that.
it?
I'd love to try it.
It'll be hot. You'll have to blow on it.
I think you should go into MasterChef with this one. I'm going to try a little bit.
It'll be super, super hot.
Yeah, don't want to burn myself. It smells really good.
Check for the facial expressions.
Okay, and I don't tell lies, so you'll know. Actually, that actually tastes really good.
I'll pay you later.
No, it really does. It's very nice. I'm going to lick the spoon. Yum. Well, thank you, Rue, for showing us how to make such a delicious soup. And it looks so professional and lovely. I just love it. So it's just amazing that God has provided plants that are so beautiful to look at. And we can use it in multiple ways, as we've demonstrated right here.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing. Thank you. Hi, I'm Andrea Williams and this is Ruth Bakery, and she's going to show us how to make a weed detox pesto. So show us how it's done, Ruth.
Right, it's fairly easy. So we're going to start with chopping up our weeds.
Yeah.
So if you could do me some garlic,
I can
that
do
would be
that.
great. So we use about a cup of, so here we have cleavers. You don't have to chop it up too much. but just to help the blender or stick blender with its job. So I'm going to use about a cup of equal, so I've got my dandelion, chickweed and cleavers, so that it roughly makes about a cup of greens.
So just slicing the garlic like this, does it work?
That's great.
Like that.
So you can use dandelion if you wish, nettle if you wish, but you just need to blanch it first because it's neutralizes its stinging particles. So just blanch it and then chuck it into some ice water is a good way to do it. So I've already done that one, so I'm just going to pop some Brazil nuts, which they are high in selenium.
Yes, selenium they are.
Yeah,
very much so.
So the pumpkin seeds.
Seeds of zinc.
Yeah, that's a good one. So it looks like I've got a lot, but that's all gonna go down. And so now we have some salt, which has got a little bit of garlic in it. So it's garlic flavored salt. So about 1 teaspoon here. And I'm going to add some oil, which is half a cup. And instead I'm going to put some lovely lemon juice, which is just going to make it sink down, and so that's about 5 tablespoons.
So getting a bit of protein in there with the seeds and nuts too.
Yeah, so now I'm just going to whiz it down. It'll make a bit of noise, so excuse the noise.
You could probably put it in a blender too, could you?
Yeah, it's much quicker in a blender, but for amount of dishes,
yes,
for a quick little demonstration. So it's almost done, just got to do the top part. So almost done. So
that looks great.
Lovely colour and smells amazing.
It is a beautiful colour. Colour of nature, isn't it?
So if I could get you just to move that down, and we're just going to take this out.
Swap.
So I've already done some here.
That looks amazing.
So this one here is Cleavers and Dandelion. So this one is with all 3. So it's much the same colour. And instead of using bread, crackers and chips and different things with your dip, you could use some cucumbers and zucchinis, and it's just sort of a nice way of being able to eat it without, if you're gluten free or whatever, just to have a nice healthy snack. So
great idea. It's looking really good.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your hard work in showing us that. That looks so amazing, and it's so professionally decorated as well. So it's just amazing how God gives us these plants, that we can use them in so many different ways, and here we've made a beautiful pesto. So thank you, Ruth.
You're welcome.